most impressive.
Feel, don't think.
Fear is my ally.
The Force will be with you.
We are encouraged to love. Be mindful of your thoughts.
I will not betray the Republic.
Hey, your worship, I'm only trying to help.
Scruffy-looking nerf herder.
I'm not afraid.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
In keeping with the trusty adage, starve a cold, disgust a fever.
So I wanted to do this video because I've noticed one of my videos, the first one I dropped about Elon Musk going after Kennedy, was spam flagged. And I know who did it. I talked to my friends in the tech world, and let's just say the person needs to stop, and they need to accept the fact that the Kennedy era of Star Wars has been an utter failure. And stop pretending. The thing about narcissists and activists here is their inability to see themselves as they really are, and inability to accept failure. I mean, look at this. The RT audience score went up 1, but the critic score went down 1. That's somebody messing around with the reviews. They're desperate. When you have so many trolls show up on your channel, that's the people that you're calling out, desperately trying to protect a dumpster fire. 14% is still 86%, and those are the only the people that bothered to go to Rotten Tomatoes to put how they feel. I think it's over almost 20,000 reviews now, and most of them are negative. And I'm going to give the devil his due. There probably are some misogynists and racists screaming there too, but the vast wide majority don't like the acolyte and don't want to see anymore, or they don't want any more garbage. They're sick and tired of seeing this out and out flagrant racism and bigotry by the SJWs at Lucasfilm. They're still there, getting away without having to pay for it. I mean, look, when you fail at something, you should learn a lesson. You should not fail upwards. Now, Headland somehow got Brian Lord at CAA to basically have CAA represent her. Now, I don't know why. I would think with how the acolyte looks, he would have been horrified. You got to understand, is most of the people that are on top in Hollywood are not woke. In fact, Caroline Reed's article about the lack of equal pay for women behind the scenes at the acolyte is a big curtain being raised on Kathleen Kennedy herself. Okay, but then you think, if you look at the 180 million, where'd the 180 million go? Because you don't have to see much of the show to realize that they didn't spend that much money. And you got Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, who's going to, look at Leslie Headland and say, here, hold my beer. If she ever gets a movie about Ray, the best is Evar, you've got to take responsibility for your behavior, for your, treating men like shit on the site, the set of The Acolyte. Yes, that's a thing. Okay, that really happened. and you're looking at the person who was called out for it. You know, you got to take responsibility. This lack of professional behavior, and it started before TLJ came out. We saw it played out on Twitter by employees of Lucasfilm who are upset that Star Wars fans didn't like what they were getting and were kind of getting upset. And actually, it started before anybody saw TFA because they destroyed the EU. You had, and you know, Kennedy lying about books and comic books not existing. I mean, that's an out-and-out lie. Because she was there at least for a year. And Star Wars was churning out comic books and novels, etc. And then, of course, let's not forget falling back on the race card when the show starts to fail. You kind of scratch your head and go, it didn't work with Kenobi. In fact, your voices were so loud, screaming how badly behaved the audience was towards Moses Ingram, because she's black, ruined the rest of the show. It's almost like they purposely shoot themselves in the foot. All right, maybe if you'd shut your mouth and let the fans have their say, like back in the day, Kenobi would have been received a lot better. Same thing with Ahsoka. You know, personally, I don't understand what the problem was with Ahsoka, but that's just me. However, with the Acolyte, they went right back to the race card. They went right back to the Istin phobe card. Instead of saying, we failed, our bad, we'll try to do it better. For example, this is a Lucasfilm employee on a different social media site trying to compare the anger and outrage of this time period about what he and his friends have done to Star Wars to the red letter media bullshit about how George Lucas ruined their childhoods with the prequels, which is nonsense. And I soon realized it after I saw the shit that is the sequel trilogy and the shit that is the High Republic, the Acolyte, and Andor. Okay, this person does not want to take responsibility for being part of the cultural rot, for forwarding the cultural rot, for getting down and dirty in the fight with the big YouTubers and others, because how dare they criticize him? And you're going to wonder why I call them out as narcissists. But let's go further, because it needs to be said.
Lost a battle. You serve me, and the manner in which you serve me reflects upon me. I would have thought that a gentleman from a family as esteemed as yours would understand that.
You turned her against me!
You have done that yourself.
Excuse me, Niles, but I've got news for you. Copernicus called, and you are not the center of the universe.
Go from being unable to take responsibility for creating trash and out and out attacking the fans to behind the scenes abuse of fellow actors because they're men. Sweetheart, if a man is not allowed to do that to you, then you aren't allowed to do that to a man. Period. You are unprofessional. You should never have been anywhere near Star Wars to begin with. It is not your soapbox to scream about your weird lifestyle. Okay, no one gives a fuck. Okay? But abusing cast on a Star Wars set under Kennedy is something that has been done. Gina Carano bullied off of a Mandalorian because she dared to ask questions politically. Meanwhile, her fellow cast member, Pedro Pascal, called Americans Nazis for daring to support somebody other than his choice of candidate. Okay? Bullshit. That is another unprofessional thing. That is called a double standard. I would prefer if they'd shut their mouths when they're working on a show. I would prefer that they kept their opinions to themselves. Not because I'm anti-free speech, but because look at the shit that goes on when they open their mouths. Okay. You can say what you want. You're responsible for it. And the fact that they decided to treat Gina like shit in an unprofessional manner is a reflection on this hag right here. Okay. Again, another example of unprofessionalism, of the Wild West going on at Lucasfilm, about no one daring to take responsibility, about people basically being treated like shit because they're men or their politics. All right? And then the same people screaming that the tokens that they hired to play a role that they weren't suited for, Moses Ingram, are being treated badly and being treated badly by racists because they're black. Bullshit, okay? Bullshit. That is just, look, they cannot be allowed to hide behind those accusations anymore. All right. And then to wash their hands of their part in this when they had every bit of their feet, legs, and toes and hands, they were knee deep in this shit, calling the fans man babies, making racist statements about black fans that didn't like what they saw, etc. Not taking responsibility for their part in it. No, you don't get to do that. Okay, not in the real world. You don't get to sit there and pretend in your narcissistic little fucking world that you had nothing to do with it. You don't get to sit there and pretend that you didn't treat people like shit because they have penises, for fuck's sake. All right? In fact, let me explain something about having any more than one or two women in any thing if they're not a certain kind of woman. Emotion plus emotion repels everybody. All right? Treating men like shit because you're a misandrous cow doesn't help anybody. Okay? Don't give a shit who your friend worked for. Don't give a shit how she had to hide everything. She was perfectly happy working for him, and she got the largesse from working for him. Okay? And 1 point up from 13% isn't going to save the TV show. Okay? Why? Because of everything I've put out there. Lead actress is a racist and making racist statements about the fans who don't like the show. The showrunner is a misandrist bigot. Her friend is a misandrist bigot who couldn't keep her mouth shut. They created a toxic environment for the men to work in. Probably so did the lead actress. And it is out there on the screen. You can't hide it. And to sit there and deny it or act like you had nothing to do with it. I'm looking at certain people at Lucasfilm and trying to compare this time period to the prequels is utter fucking bullshit. And every one of you people know it. All right? The quicker the acolyte gets memory hold, willowed into oblivion, and Leslie Headland goes away, never to be seen in Hollywood again, and Kathleen Kennedy announces her resignation or retirement. I don't care, but it has to happen soon. Because it's time for them to look at what they've done as a complete and utter failure and accept it for what it is. Okay? That's what you do as a grown-up. You don't sit there, you point fingers. You don't pretend like it's not as bad as people think it is. You don't blame the fans, your customers. You don't call them dirty names. You don't give ammunition to people who not only hate you, but have decided they have the power to take down the company. You just don't. Yet here we are. Here we are. Okay. And the idea that people at Lucasfilm are now trying to wash their hands of any responsibility, and their idea of what the culture war is fucking bullshit, because they were part of it. They were every bit as responsible. They did it. They started it. They didn't like having people retaliate. That's all that is. Anyway, I've had my rant. I've had my say. This is Steph signing out. See you around the galaxy.